Good morning. I am Karis, and I am the church's music director. A few points of business as we get started this morning. If you are visiting us for the first time, you are especially welcome. But those of you that have been here forever, you're especially welcome too. Our greeters at the welcome table by the door can help you get oriented if you are new and you need some orientation or have any questions. If you have little ones, our greeters can show you the way to our nursery, which is all the way around, and that is for children 6 and under. And our services are filmed and posted on YouTube. So if you do not want to be on camera, please sit in this section, which is the curfew-free zone, or this section. And feel free to move during our opening hymn if you need to. Please silence your cell phones. And our opening hymn is not in the hymnal this morning. This is an old traditional tune, copyrighted by A.P. Carter, even though there is debate behind that. Yes. And this is called Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Feel free to rise in body and or spirit and sing along if you know the words. Oh, New Orleans style. I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse rolling for to carry my mother away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Now today, Undertaker, please drive slow for that body that you're hauling. Lord, I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. And I followed close behind her, tried to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid her in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I went back home, thought home was lonely, left her mother, she has gone. Oh, my brother, sisters crying, and I hate to see them go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
What a fantastic way to get things started. Welcome to Holston Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. I am Bradley. I'm your service leader today. I have a very important announcement. I want to be transparent. We don't have water today. So coffee hour is not happening, which is the most important thing. But second most important thing, you might need to go to the bathroom or something. So if you have needs that require water and you can't hold on to those needs for an hour, you are totally fine to leave. We're not going to hold it against you. So yes, no water. Anyway, as Unitarian Universalists, we choose to not believe something just because someone with authority tells us to believe it. Our fourth principle states that we believe in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We are all on our own independent spiritual journeys, and we encourage each other on those independent spiritual journeys, and we want you to share what you have learned on those independent spiritual journeys, because we grow when we work together. So, once a year, around our nation's birthday, we honor this principle with Soapbox Sunday. If this is your first time at a UU church, this will seem very odd. People from the congregation are allowed to come up and speak for 4 minutes on whatever they like. They have their opportunity to use the power of the pulpit to get up on their soapbox and say something that's been on their mind, and we get to listen and learn from it. We're going to hear from 4 different people today: Bob, Gary, Noel, and Alessia Chaffin. Kirk was going to speak today, and you see on your bulletin, I think, that Kirk is supposed to speak today, but he got sick, and he's not here, which we appreciate. Save it for next year, Kirk. It takes lots of guts to come up to this pulpit, to stare at all these critical faces and say something personal. A lot of guts to say that. I'm very grateful that they spoke up and they have that courage, and I think they'd appreciate a little thank you applause right now. But before we begin, let us light our chalice with the words in our vision statement. We work together as a church to transform ourselves, our community, and our world by sharing love, pursuing justice, and seeking wonder. Today we are inviting our kids, youth, and their parents to join us up here for a time for all ages, where we are going to read a story.
That's okay too. Anybody want it? Okay, cool. Thanks, Brad. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody, young and young. I'm Beth. I think most of you know me. And it's an unusual Sunday we have today. We call it Soapbox Sunday, as Bradley just told you. You do know that a soapbox is just like a sturdy wooden box that tons of soap used to come in. And people would stand on it because it made them taller. And then they could talk loudly and people would listen to their interesting ideas. But our story is not really about a soapbox. It's really about what's behind all that talk. Have you ever thought about where the alphabet, where the words, where the sentences developed? Good luck on this one. See what you think by the end of the story. It's told by an ant who was there at the time. I talk an A-N-T, a little creature. I'm not talking A-U-N-T, your aunt, your sweet auntie who sends you stuff at Christmas time. It's called the alphabet tree. There's a picture of the tree. Okay, you can all see it, right? Giving you a list. This is the alphabet tree, said the ant. Why is it called the alphabet tree, asked his friend. Because not so long ago, this tree was full of letters. You can see it, right? They lived a happy life, hopping from leaf to leaf on the highest twigs. Each letter had its favorite leaf, where it would sit in the sun and rock in the gentle breezes of spring. But one day, the breeze became a strong gust, and the gust became a gale, and the letters clung to the leaves with all their might. But some were blown away, and the others were very frightened. Letters have feelings. We won't get into that. When the storm had passed, they huddled together in fear deep in the foliage of the lower branches. If you look closely, you can see they're hanging out down there. They think that's a little safer. A funny bug, red and black with bright yellow wings, saw them hiding there in the shade. We're hiding from the wind, the letters explained. But who are you? I am the word bug, the word bug answered. I can teach you to make words. If you get together in 3s and 4s and even more, the wind will not be strong enough to blow you away. Cool. So he taught the letters to join together and make words. Some of them made short, easy words like dog and cat. Others learned more difficult words like twig or leaf or anthropomorphic. Happily, they climbed back onto the highest leaves, and when the wind came, they held on without fear. The word bug had been right. You can see the words are now steadily on the tree. Then one summer morning, a strange caterpillar appeared among the foliage. He was purple, woolly, and very large. Such confusion, said the caterpillar when he saw the words scattered around the leaves. Why don't you get together and make sentences? And sentences that mean something. The letters never thought of this. Now they could really write. They could say things. They said things about the wind and the leaves and the bug. The wind is bad, it says there. Leaves are green. The bug is small. Good, said the caterpillar approvingly. But not yet good enough. Why? asked the letters, quite surprised. Because you must say something important, said the caterpillar. The letters tried to think of something important, something really important. Finally, they knew what to say. What could be more important than peace? Peace on earth and goodwill to all, they spelled excitedly. Great, said the caterpillar. Now climb on my back. One by one, the letters climbed onto the woolly back. But where are you taking us? They asked anxiously as the caterpillar began climbing down the tree. To the president, said the caterpillar. And sometimes a story is more than just about an alphabet, isn't it? Think about that as you go back to your seats, and thanks for being here.
Another random announcement. In the facilities team, our fantastic facilities team did a lot real quickly. We have water now. Yeah. So you may all rest at ease. And theoretically, we'll have coffee hour too. We'll see how that works out. Just as story speaks to a part of us that nonfiction usually can't reach in the same way, music speaks to a part of us deeper than words. Today's musical offering is Same Love, performed by Rachel, Wendy, Liz, James, Karis, and Alessia.
Check, mic. Hi, everybody. Just a kind of a brief introduction of this song before we get started here. This song is kind of my unofficial soapbox. Bear with me as I will be rapping. We have provided the lyrics for you in your bulletin. So I know the song is going to go kind of fast. I will do everything in my power to enunciate this, but I think it's going to be really important if you guys kind of read along with us. Oh, whoops.
Holiday, we were not able to do that.
My bad. So I guess you'll have to look it up later so you can get all the lyrics for you. I'll try to enunciate really clearly so you get the message here. This is Macklemore, Same Love. When I was in the 3rd grade, I thought I was gay. Because I could draw, my uncle was, and I kept my room straight. I told my mom with tears rushing down my face. She's like, Ben, you loved girls since before pre-K, tripping. She had a point, didn't she? A bunch of stereotypes all in my head. I remember doing the math, like, yeah, I'm good at Little League. A preconceived idea of what it all meant. Same sex. They had the characteristics, right-wing conservatives that thought it was a decision, that you could be cured with some treatment and religion, a man-made rewiring of a predisposition playing God. Here we go. America the brave still fears what we don't know. God loves all his children is somehow forgotten, yet we paraphrase a book written 3,500 years ago. I don't know.
And I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to, I can't change. Even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
If I was gay, I would think hip-hop hates me. Have you read the YouTube comments lately? Man that's gay gets dropped on the daily. We become so numb to what we're saying. A culture founded from oppression, yet we have no acceptance for him. Call each other slurs behind the keys of a message board. A word rooted in hate, yet our genre still ignores it. Gay is synonymous with the lesser. It's the same hate that's caused. Wars from religion, gender to skin color, the complexion of your pigment, the same fight. It's led people to walkouts and sit in. It's human rights for everybody. There is no difference. Live on and be yourself. When I was church, they taught me something else. If you preach hate at the service, those words aren't anointed. The holy water that you soak in has been poisoned. When everyone else is more comfortable remaining voiceless, rather than fighting for human rights that have had their rights stolen, I might not be the same, but that's not important. No freedom till we're equal. Damn right, I support it.
And I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. Oh, I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm.
Press play, don't press pause. Progress, and then march on. With a veil over our eyes, we turn our back on the cause until the day my uncles can be united by law. When kids are walking around the hallway plagued by pain in their heart, a world so hateful some would rather die than be who they are. A certificate on paper is not gonna solve it all, but it's a damn good place to start. No law is gonna change us. We have to change us. Whatever God you believe in, we come from the same one. Strip away the fear. Underneath, it's all the same love. It's about time that we raised up.
And
Sing
I
it.
can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. I can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. She keeps me warm. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is patient. Love is kind. I'm not crying on Sunday.
Love is patient.
I'm not crying on Sunday.
Love is kind.
I'm not crying on Sunday.
My love, my love,
I'm
she
not
keeps me
crying on
warm.
Sundays. I'm not crying on Sundays. I'm not crying on Sundays. I'm not crying on no days. I'm not crying on Sundays. I'm not crying on Sundays.
Love is patient.
I'm not crying on Sundays.
Love is kind.
I'm not crying on Sundays.
Love is patient.
I'm not crying on
Love
Sundays.
is kind. Thanks, guys.
Come to this community with all that you are. Your joys and your concerns are welcome here. We share our moments of joys and sorrows with us through using these candle cards. If you are with us in person, or by emailing the Reverend at minister@hvuuc.org with the words candle card in the subject line. Please make sure to indicate whether or not you would like the card read aloud in the service, which is still being broadcast publicly on YouTube. I'd like to tell you all a quick history story. Today is the day Joan of Arc's trial was re-examined and declared fraudulent. Joan of Arc was a very spiritual teenager who, according to her, received divine messages to help save France from English domination. Convinced of her sincerity, Charles VII of France sent Joan out into the battlefield where a struggling France suddenly had a string of successful battles. Eventually, Joan was captured by pro-English Frenchmen and handed over to the English, who put her on trial for 2 crimes. 1, wearing men's clothes, which was illegal according to the Bible, and 2, acting upon visions that were demonic. The trial was rigged. If Joan won the trial, the English had to admit that God wanted France to have the land they were fighting for. So they made sure Joan did not win the trial. The judge was personally involved in Joan's acquisition. The English were paying the judge and the prosecutor. Of the 131 men who were participating in the trial, only 8 were French. Joan was supposed to be guarded by women and housed in the church. Instead, she was imprisoned by the English and guarded by male soldiers in a prison where several rape attempts took place. Joan was not told what her charges were until the trial began. She was interrogated without a lawyer present. People stepped down because they felt the testimony was forced out of Joan to entrap her. She was found guilty and burned at the stake. Her last request was to kiss a crucifix and hold it close to her chest as she burned. 25 years later, a rehabilitation trial began to determine if the trial was biased. And today, July 7th, 1456, the court found her trial was unjust and deceitful. Her execution was nullified, the articles of accusation were literally torn up, and a cross was erected at the site of Joan's execution. Little good does it do Joan, though, because she's dead. Joan is now a saint in the Catholic Church and is one of the patron saints of France. She followed her conscience, saved her country, and was killed by corrupt institutions. She is not the first to be a victim of corrupt criminal justice systems, a system designed to protect the innocent. I would like a candle lit for Joan and the millions of people like her abandoned by noble institutions for political gain. May they find justice. May they find peace. If you wish to light your own candle, approach the side of the table that is closest to you, and the closer candle keeper will assist you. Please light the candles at the back of the table first so no one has to reach over an open flame. If you would like for us to light a candle for you, please raise your hand until I acknowledge you, and I will ensure a candle is lit for your intention. And because our community is so much larger than those of us who are in the building this morning, we light a candle to hold space for those who are not physically present in the building, but are ever in our hearts and minds. And we light a final candle for all that remains unspoken in our hearts and minds.
When I breathe in, I breathe
Vote in Tennessee? Why bother? Many reasons to ask this, but the most popular reasons are a variation of, we already know who's going to win. Tennessee's a mess, and my vote doesn't matter. I hate what all the candidates stand for. And we're not a swing state. So let's talk about each of these individually. You know who's going to win. Really? There are 4 U.S. Senate Democratic primary candidates. In the general election, there'll be 6 people on the ballot. The Tennessee State Senate Republican primary race, 2 candidates. What about the Kingsport mayor? What about the school boards? You mean the presidential race, you already know who's going to win. But really, do we know who's going to be on the ballot in November? Next, Tennessee's a mess. Yes, it is a mess. I'd suggest that's because citizens here don't vote. Therefore, the corporate-sponsored incumbents are running the joint. Depending on what different research you look at, the number, Tennessee ranks number 46 to number 51 in voter turnout. Tennessee, a red state? BS. Stop spreading that media and two-party, major party perpetuated lie. Tennessee is actually a I don't care enough to vote state. Next, my vote doesn't matter. That's also a lie. Your vote matters in all the races below the presidential race. The U.S. Senate, the U.S. House, all the state races, all the local races. There are 4 changes to the Johnson City Charter on the ballot. Are you okay with who's representing you in Congress? Our current U.S. Senator gets 70% of her campaign finance money from out of state. Is she representing Tennesseans? Simply put, if you don't vote, you're giving your most important power to someone else, and most of them are clueless. Primary election day and the general election for all the local elections is on August 1st, and early voting starts this Friday. Next, I hate what all the candidates stand for. Well, I pretty much do too, at least for the incumbents. I've seen what the state legislature has done to trans and women's rights, on gun safety, on voter suppression. I clearly understand who our Congresswoman and our U.S. Senator represent. They're big money donors, and they take their lead from a criminal cult leader. So I've already got my reasons for voting in all elections. Last reason, we're not a swing state. That's true, but that only matters for the presidential race, and that's because we still have a racist electoral college system. However, I suggest that your vote from the presidential race still matters, even if you think you know that whoever's the Republican candidate is going to win in Tennessee. Why? Because your vote will be counted and tallied in the national popular vote totals. And that is a statement of the need to eliminate the Electoral College, or at least to move to a national popular vote system. Did you know that 5 of the current 9 Supreme Court justices were nominated by presidents who did not, I repeat, did not win the national popular vote, and were confirmed by senators representing less than half the population of our country, and they served for life. Last Monday, that fragmented majority of the court, for the first time in history, declared the president above the law, an action that I could argue is even more far-reaching than their reversal of Roe v. Wade. So what's the recipe for avoiding this why bother mindset? Number 1, do your research and vote. Voting is not just a right, but it's an obligation in our privileged nation. Number 2, use your heart. That is, vote for a world that you want for all of our grandchildren. And vote with your head. My head says this historic presidential election is a choice between continued flawed democracy and full-throttle authoritarianism. And this, in my humble opinion, means not voting for any third-party candidate for president. Number 3, use every available minute to get others to educate themselves and vote, whatever that looks like, and not just social media posts. Here's where your impact in swing states can matter. You know anybody that lives in any of those states? I'll bet you do. Talk to them. Talk to them about Project 2025. And after November 5th, after you grieve or celebrate for about 10 minutes, get back to work and spend an equal amount of time on peacefully dismantling the system, the electoral process, the campaign finance dynasty, the political industrial complex of a two-party dominance using big money and corporate media bias. That's the end of my soapbox. I'll see you at coffee hour, or next to the cupcakes if there's no coffee hour, with a list of nonpartisan organizations that can help you with your research. Thank you.
All right, here I am. Okay. Good morning. Title is, What Are We Doing to Our Garden of Eden? Now, I've been told many times that there are two creation stories, and I think I got this right. The first chapter in Genesis gives the humans the right of dominion over all creatures to rule as we wish. Too many people stop there. Creation story number 2, which is the only sensible guide in my opinion, is that we are given the Garden of Eden to till and keep and care. So how have we been doing? Well, many of you may remember that excavators were cutting into the land in the South to build highways back in the 1950s, and such a brilliance that they had, they brought in a plant from Asia to hold back erosion. Now, we have ghostly figures of kudzu covering our land. Who knows what's under that massive vine that ate the South? Since days of colonizers, landscapers, tourists, and gardeners have brought in exotic plants, like Chinese privet, English ivy, winter creeper, which is also called euonymus, tree of heaven, Japanese honeysuckle, wisteria, and my favorite, Bradford pear. Every office, park, yard, residential development, and highway median in the 1980s, Nashville, Tennessee, was covered with those unnatural trees. They were as creepy to me as AI is today. Thinking about the movie Cool Hand Luke, which came out in 1967, where the opening scene caught Paul Newman in his drunken character cutting off the heads of parking meters to steal the change, I got an idea. I dreamed of using a chainsaw to cut down all the Bradford pear trees I could in the early morning hours. They have spread to the border of railroad tracks, highways, and into forests. There are so many more mistakes we made with other plants, clearing land for new man-made structures and destroying animal habitat, using non-native animals, snakes, etc. But I can't leave without talking about man-made invasives, plastics. Now that we are a throwaway society, we're dealing with millions of tons of trash which break down into microplastics and enter our food chain. Animals, birds, and sea creatures mistake these particles for food. And eventually, these tiny little devils become parts of our body. And adding insult to injury, microplastics have been found in male reproductive glands. Let that sink in. Quoting a Catholic website, our mandate is to till and keep, to be good stewards of all that God has placed around us, and to do our best to preserve God's creation. We're not paying attention. Thank you.
Folks, I am riled up about Project 2025. The current Supreme Court, combined with the Heritage Foundation Project 2025 vision, demonstrates how an extremist agenda is dangerous not only for democracy and the rule of law, but for our very quality of life. Project 2025 is an authoritarian Christian nationalist movement and a path to the U.S. becoming an autocracy, not a democracy. Implementing its 100-day manual would undermine the rule of law and separation of powers. Please understand, Project 2025 would not need approval of Congress to become the rule of land if accepted by a conservative political party. Let me earmark a few pages in the billionaire's manifesto for a bloodless revolution. Page 102, improve military access to secondary schools, require completion of military entrance exam in all schools that receive federal funding. Page 582, employers should be able to demonstrate based on race, gender, religion, disabilities, sexual identification, and gender identity. Page 588, retirement benefits should be better for married people, worse for single people. 595, teenagers can have really dangerous jobs, actually already implemented in Arkansas. Page 553, Department of Justice. If police aren't arresting the right people, they will have the right to overrule and prosecute DAs they do not like. Page 549, strip the independence of the FBI director because they think that person should be accountable only to the president. Page 550, the FBI should have no role in stripping the spread of disinformation. Page 561, enforcing civil rights. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion is what they call discrimination. Page 558, repeal the FACE Act and allow abortion clinic providers and clients to be harassed. Page 469 and 464, get rid of the Affordable Care Act and switch government health care over to the private sector, along with Medicare and Social Security. Page 450, promote married families. No support for single mothers, same-sex marriage, and a whole host of anti-LGBTQ proposals. Page 457, and any program that undermines family formation, total abortion ban. Page 471, defund Planned Parenthood, stop medication access for abortion. Page 455, the CDC to track abortion data so they can prosecute women. Page 523 and 529, get rid of all reference to climate change. And there's more. Department of Agriculture, they're really outraged by the notion that protecting the environment would improve health, nutrition, and lives of Americans. Department of Energy will restrict renewable energy and destroy the EPA because they want to get rid of all those nasty little regulations. Anti-climate plan even shows up in the Department of Housing, the Treasury, the SEC, and even the Department of Labor. The billionaire capitalists at the Heritage Foundations and 100 Friends who wrote the plan have been paying very close attention to America. They've learned as long as they promise to hate the same people you hate, they don't have to promise you anything to earn your vote. In conclusion, the Heritage Foundation will determine what books your kids read, what education they get, and then they're going to ship them off to military service as white, heterosexual Christians. You think this plan is going to make you part of the ruling class? No. You're going to wake up one day and realize that you are only pawns of the ruling class. Now, there is a presidential candidate that swears he's never heard of Project 2025. He's never heard of it. Project 2025. This is the Constitution of the United States. Let's not get rid of it. Let's improve it together. Thank you.
Morning. I have to excuse my voice today. I've been hoarse all week. My throat's been, something's going on. One has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. An unjust law is no law at all. That was Martin Luther King in Letters from Birmingham Jail. 2 weeks ago, the world-famous journalist and founder of the nonprofit media outlet WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, signed a plea deal with the United States government in order to secure his freedom and return to his family and his home country after 12 years of incarceration for revealing many crimes of the American state. His diplomatic activity, or his work in publishing classified information about military operations and subversive diplomatic activities shed light on the inner workings of American imperialism. Assange's subsequent legal struggles, however, highlight a troubling trend in our country and our world. There is a clear criminalization of free transparency in speech and press, towards the goal of silencing inconvenient truths and censoring reality. When examining the cases of other truth tellers like Assange, we're confronted with profound issues of power, justice, and the role of dissent in ostensibly democratic societies. For that reason, I want to briefly highlight the cases of 4 other very prominent political prisoners who have still not had the good fortune to see their freedom yet. Leonard Peltier is a Native American activist. He spent almost 50 years behind bars for a crime he maintains he did not commit. His trial was rife with manufactured evidence and coerced testimonies which were later recanted. His case resonates greatly within our country's long history of injustice to indigenous peoples, reflecting upon Peltier the same lack of due process and eagerness for erasure that his people have suffered for centuries. Peltier's continued imprisonment, even as he's getting old in age and suffering poor health conditions, underscores the enduring legacy of colonialism in the United States, as well as the settler states' tendency to sweep under the rug all those whose lands they have stolen. Mumia Abu-Jamal is a former Black Panther and a phenomenal journalist. He used to do work with Democracy Now! On NPR. He became a major figure in the discussion of racial equality and the integrity of the criminal justice system because of his controversial conviction in 1981. That trial was also marred with allegations of procedural misconduct and extreme racial bias. Much evidence which would have proved the witnesses against him were lying was sequestered by the court, and the judge and the prosecutor were both outspoken racists that said horrible things about him and the entire Black community during the trial. Abu Jamal's case serves as a stark reminder of the structural inequalities embedded within America's legal institutions and the disproportionate impact of systemic state repression on marginalized communities. He has remained in maximum security prison for over 4 decades, half of that time spent on death row. David McBride is a very decorated Australian Army veteran turned whistleblower who exposed many heinous war crimes committed by Australian forces in the Afghanistan War. Towards the end of his Army career, his time as a military lawyer uncovered countless unspeakable acts committed by Aussie troops, most of which top officials knew about and deliberately covered up. When he was brought to trial for his exposure of classified documents, American diplomats warned the Australian courts that those documents needed to stay classified, so all his evidence was sequestered and he was forced to stand trial with nothing to his defense. Because I could not possibly have time to highlight all the many courageous dissident figures who were held as political prisoners over the years, I said earlier I want to focus on a few who have not been freed. This brings us to the case of one who never made it out alive. Walid Daka was a Palestinian painter and a writer before he was arrested in 1984. Out of nearly 10,000 Palestinian prisoners held arbitrarily without trial, he served the longest time, having been in Israeli detention for over 38 years. Amnesty International reported that he was tortured frequently via beatings and medical neglect, and he died in April this year of untreated cancer. These 5 struggles don't occur in a vacuum. They're inherent and integral to the broader humanitarian cause. They represent contradictions inherent to the capitalist hegemony, wherein the ruling class must violently wield the armed wing of the state apparatus to maintain control of all resources, including truth and speech. If you want more details about these cases or info on how to support these folks, you can talk to me after church or any other time. I'll leave you with one quote from one of the world's most renowned political prisoners, Nelson Mandela. From his interview in Time magazine, he said, "To go to prison because of your convictions and be prepared to suffer for what you believe in is something worthwhile. It is an achievement for a man to do his duty on earth irrespective of the consequences."
You can learn more about the many opportunities for fellowship, justice work, and working together by visiting our website, hvuuc.org, and checking out our news and events sections. Our closing hymn for this month is Go Lifted Up, number 1057 in the thin blue hymnal. And this is also when we will pass out the offering plate. The contributions that you make to us during the offering supports the way that we build each other up within this community and also gives us the resources we need to stretch out into the wider world and make a positive impact. If you're making a pledge payment, please mark it as such. And thank you so much for your contributions. Please rise with us in body or spirit for our closing hymn, Go Lifted Up, number 1057. I'll leave you all with a quote that's been attributed to Maggie Smith. Speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. Have a great day, have a great week, and yay, church!